Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. Normally, I try to avoid discussions of any sort of politics within my videos as a general rule. They are polarizing and always end up invariably with half of the people agreeing with you and the other half hating you. In addition, it typically serves no purpose unless it involves a video game specifically. However, with current events playing out in Europe, and with certain decisions being made by corporations both gaming and no, along with financial institutions taking part in imposing their own versions of sanctions against Russia, not to mention the many games developers that live in Ukraine, I felt this warranted some discussion and information as to what has been happening at least within the gaming sphere. And in addition, I was informed of one indie dev in particular by Surviolent Death that needs help, and I felt that warranted a direct shout out to my audience. That developer in particular is Marginal Act, a Ukrainian indie dev who posted on Twitter the following: "I'm officially a refugee now, so I need your support. I left my city and now I'm broke. If you can buy my game, please do. If you can donate, text and DM. Hope on you, 2 hearts, I'm guessing much love. You are everything I have now." That developer's game is titled Cthulhu Pub, which is a rather interesting little sim-like monster pub game with a very simple premise: build up a thriving business. Now, along with that, you will need to construct soldier guards in order to fight off human attackers and deal with quote-unquote god strikes, where some monstrosity will come down out of the sky and crush part of your business. Both of those attack events are on repeating timers and not overly difficult to deal with. Bear in mind, it is an incomplete game due to the developer's recent refugee status, and at $10 US, it might be a touch overpriced, but purchasing his game or donating directly is definitely going to a worthwhile endeavor, and it is for a rather chill sort of game that you can just relax and play. And links to his Twitter post as well as the game will be in the pinned comment down below. Along with that, in a post he made on February 24th to his Steam page, the developer made the following announcement. "Hi, this is Marginal Act, a game developer from Ukraine. I decided to release Cthulhu Pub today because I don't know what will be with me, my game, and my country tomorrow due to Russian aggression. Right now, my city is under massive bombing attack. Ukrainian troops are fighting bravely, and I hope we will survive this war. If you want to support me, just buy the game. It's relatively chips on release. Please support NGOs in Ukraine, go on the protest against the war, and pray for Ukraine." And also in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, other larger games publishers and developers have been speaking out and taking, as I said, their own form of sanctions on Russia. Earlier this morning, Projekt Red posted the following on Twitter: "In light of the Russian military invasion in our neighboring country of Ukraine, until further notice, the Projekt Group has made the decision to halt all sales of our games to Russia and Belarus. Today, we begin working with our partners to suspend digital sales and cease physical stock deliveries of Projekt Group products, as well as games distributed on the GOG platform to the territories of Russia and Belarus. The entire Projekt Group stands firm with the people of Ukraine. While we are not a political entity capable of directly influencing state matters and don't aspire to be one, we do believe that commercial entities, when united, have the power to inspire global change in the hearts and minds of ordinary people. We know that players in Russia and Belarus, individuals who have nothing to do with the invasion in Ukraine, will be impacted by this decision. But with this action, we wish to further galvanize the global community to speak about what is going on in the heart of Europe." And in a corporate regulatory announcement, Projekt reported that Russia accounts for 5.4% of their income for the previous 12 months, and Belarus accounts for 3.7%, which is a combined total of 9.1% of all Projekt revenue over the past 12 months. Not enough to actually hurt the company, but definitely enough to account for a significant amount of money for a company of that size. Now, a few hours earlier, Bloober Team announced that they would stop selling their games to Russia and Belarus as well, sharing sentiments that mirrored Projekt. Bloober Team is the studio responsible for The Medium, Observer System Redux, the Blair Witch video game, Layers of Fear, and Layers of Fear 2. And they aren't the only ones by any stretch of the imagination. On March 1st, Ubisoft announced that while they were not preventing sales of their products in Russia and Belarus, they have been actively working to make sure their Ukrainian staff are safe and taken care of, where they said, "Our top priority is to take care of the safety and well-being of our teams and their families." Over the past months, Ubisoft has been closely monitoring the situation, and our primary focus has been the security of our teams. As events escalated in mid-February, Ubisoft recommended all teams take shelter in a place they considered safe. To support them as they made these difficult decisions, each team member was provided additional funds to help cover exceptional costs and paid their salary in advance to account for any potential disruption to banking systems. Last week, when the unthinkable became a reality, Ubisoft worked to reinforce our support and assistance for our colleagues in Ukraine. We have set up alternative housing in neighboring countries where our colleagues and their families can take shelter if they wish and are able to do so. To stay closely connected to all our team members, Ubisoft has created dedicated hotlines to provide them personalized support and aid. We have also put in place an emergency communication system to ensure we are able to keep in touch with our colleagues in all circumstances. We stand by our teams in Ukraine and will continue to adapt and reinforce our support as the situation evolves. Many people in Ukraine, including children, are in dire need of humanitarian support such as medical supplies, shelter, and food. Today, Ubisoft is donating a total of 200,000 euros to the Ukrainian Red Cross and Save the Children to help meet the urgent needs of the Ukrainian population. Wargaming, the developers of World of Tanks, amongst other similar games, announced similar efforts to Ubisoft's on February 28th, providing early salary payments, alternative housing, additional funds to help allow their colleagues in travel and relocation, and organizing accommodations, along with donating $1 million to the Ukrainian Red Cross, along with promising further assistance if required. And then on the digital sector, Microsoft has been helping Ukraine in terms of cybersecurity and cyber defense, outlining those efforts in the blog post titled Digital Technology and the War in Ukraine, written by Brad Smith. Then from Reuters, Disney, Warner Brothers, and Sony are pausing the releases of new films in Russia, although there is no mention of Belarus in that article. It states, "We will make future business decisions based on the evolving situation," Disney said in a statement. In the meantime, given the scale of the emerging refugee crisis, we are working with our NGO partners to provide urgent aid and other humanitarian assistance. Given the ongoing military action in Ukraine, we will be pausing our planned theatrical releases in Russia, including the upcoming release of Morbius, a Sony Pictures Entertainment spokesman said in an emailed statement. Steam has also limited Russian players to only paying through their Steam wallet and PayPal. However, credit card transactions failing is not an action taken by Steam, but by companies like Visa and MasterCard halting transactions with Russia. So Steam is removing those options because they know they're not going to work. In addition, Russian game developers are apparently reporting issues receiving payouts, which is quite likely very much due to the block in place with financial institutions. From Axios, earlier this morning, they provided a more complete list of global companies that have also enacted their own form of sanctions against Russia. Those companies are Boeing, Airbus, Shell, BP, ExxonMobil, GM, Ford, BMW, Daimler Truck Holdings, Volvo, Renault, VW, Harley-Davidson, Adidas, Nike, FedEx and UPS, Ukes, Net-a-Porter and Farfetch, Apple, Dell, Ericsson, Walt Disney, and IKEA. Although it is worth noting that some of these companies' actions are merely because they cannot guarantee delivery of goods, and at least one of them are halting, at least temporarily, due to the falling euro because they have to reassess prices. Now, I'm not a political analyst. I have very little experience within that sphere. However, I do have to say that I'm extremely glad that these games companies are taking proactive action to help safeguard their employees if and when they attempt to flee Ukraine, and to make sure they are taken care of. However, whether their own attempts at sanctions will have the intended effect very much remains to be seen. And I have concerns about this because it can be taken a couple of different ways. Yes, it shows that these companies are willing to stand with Ukraine in their own way and to support their employees, which is fantastic. And this might even put pressure on the people that live in Russia and Belarus to foment discontent over what their governments are doing. However, there is also a very likely possibility that these actions could have the exact opposite effect in the terms of gamers in those countries. It may well galvanize them to support the actions of their governments during this invasion, which is the exact opposite of the intended outcome. Again, I'm no political analyst, so I have no clear idea which direction the winds will blow in that regard, but I do know that an action once taken can rarely be reversed in situations such as these. I do know that severe economic sanctions and now sanctions on basic entertainment and some goods and services have been enacted over the past couple of weeks, and as a result, the value of the ruble was worth 13 US cents at the beginning of February, and currently it is valued at approximately 9.1 cents, a roughly 30% decrease in value, which has happened in only a few short days. And this will cause significant economic impact on its citizens. This additional prevention, or at least decrease in entertainment goods under a rapid onset depression and/or inflation, might not do as much as these companies might hope for, but we'll see. The games industry is massive after all, and given the huge amount of games still available, this might not even be enough to move the needle. Ultimately, the die has been cast, as they say, so now we'll wait and see which direction the outcome of that action will take. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.